Do the ends really justify the means? In other words, is it ethical or morally right to do whatever it takes to reach a result, even if the result is good? Would you steal bread if it meant your family could eat? Would you speed down the highway well over the speed limit if it meant you get to work on time? We may deem our actions as pure or right, but what we deem right is not always aligned with what God sees as right and pure. In Proverbs 16:2, their author writes, "All a person's ways seem right to him, but the Lord weighs motives." Another translation says this, "People may be pure in their own eyes, but the Lord examines their motives." Scripture is clear. God cares deeply about your motives. In 1 Samuel, we read of Saul's multiple failings as king of Israel. To him, his motives were pure and right. He made a sacrifice to God in 1 Samuel 13, and he destroyed the Amalekites and saved the best livestock for another sacrifice to God in 1 Samuel 15. On the surface, these actions seem right and good, but Saul was punished both times. Why was that? God cares about your motives and ultimately about your obedience. What Saul saw as good, these sacrifices to God, God, through Samuel, saw disobedience and selfishness. In the former example, Samuel, as the prophet of God, instructed Saul to wait for him to come and make the sacrifice. But we read that Saul made the sacrifice before Samuel arrived. In the latter example, Saul was instructed to destroy all the Amalekites, including all the livestock. But Saul took the king as a live hostage and saved the best of the livestock for sacrifice. Saul's actions were marred by disobedience. Your motives matter to God just as much as your actions. So as you ponder your actions and your underlying motives, remember this. People look at the outer appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. Change begins in you.
The Change Begins in You is brought to you in part by Piggly Wiggly of Collinsville, Patrick Allen Companies, Mitchell Tire and Wrecker in Collinsville, and Mowdy Cabinetry.